Hello guys, I'm Ashok for you from Mission IAS. Just today I'm going to discuss on the best of Indian economy, Indian polity. Okay, then in this lecture you can learn different types of salient features of Indian constitutions. Okay, in this lecture is very important for you because after listening this lecture you can find out what is the clarification and characterizations of Indian constitution, because what the people says, what our government says, what is the real text of Indian constitution says. Okay, these types of diversifications of the communications and the materials of our Indian constitution can be given to you and bestowed to you on the basis of this lecture. So I am trying my best to provide you the concrete lecture on the basis of salient features of Indian constitution before you. My dear guys, you know very well about the what is the main features of Indian constitution. Okay, so actually whenever we are talking about the Indian constitute mean to say to make, what to make, to rule and law. Okay, and which is implemented in a country, in a particular country by executive. Okay, and this can be looked after by our judiciary. Okay, the judiciary is our caretaker of the rules and regulations which have been made by our legislative assembly. Okay, and it can be implemented by executive. Okay, so this is the very wonderful paniforma of the communications of the ruling of the acts, okay, which has been implemented in our country after finishing and finalizing our Indian constitution on 26 January 1950. Okay, so this was the one main period, because we know very well that Indian constitution got a long period to make its finalized. Like if I'm talking about 2 years, 11 months and 18 days, this was the a long period whenever Indian constitution was completely drafted. Okay, my dear guys, in this lecture I'm going to give you a concrete identifications of the real concept concerning to Indian constitutions. Okay, and derivations of the Indian constitution. You can also learn different like that, what is the background of the written constitution, from where it has been borrowed, and what is the main we can say indications, yeah, encouragement to the people by which people can approach to write down and draft Indian constitution. What is the history? Today I am making understand about the Indian history and Indian struggles history concerning to Indian constitutions. Okay, my dear guys, if I'm talking about the Indian constitution features is that if we are studying Indian constitution, if you are studying, because Indian constitution was drafted after 60 countries constitutions evaporated. Okay, meant to say whenever the people, yeah, the constituent assembly, if I'm talking about the members of the constituent assembly for our constitutions, they went through the 60 countries of their main we can say content of their constitutions, and then Indian constitution was finalized and portrayed before all. Okay, so this is a very big and concrete concept that 60s combinations of 60s constitution, Indian constitution has been framed before all. Okay, and in this scenario we can learn the main concrete expectations and knowledgeable part of Indian constitutions. My dear guys, in Indian constitution there are several features like that. If I'm talking about Indian constitution, in Indian constitution, longest written constitution, it is said that, why it is said that, I will discuss one point, because in Indian constitution total there are 12 salient features I will discuss before you. Okay, on the basis of 12 salient features, each and every features can be discussed by me in depth of your concept, by which you can gain your concrete contents concerning to Indian constitutions. Okay, so first one is that longest written constitution. Second, partly rigid and partly this is flexible. It is said by some writers, it is said by some thinkers, it is said by some historians. Okay, that Indian constitution is either flexible or rigid. How? What is the interpretations of Indian constitutions concerning to this ideology? Why people says, okay, what is the proof and which types of interpretations of the amalgamations of the concept which is deriving to the people, we have to identify. Okay, third one is called parliamentary form of the government, because in India parliamentary is not on the basis of hereditary based. Okay, it is completely based on the basis of selection, on the basis of election, because after 5 years, whenever parliament going to finalize its period, second and next election can be occurred and took place in our country. Okay, the parliamentary form of the government is completely based on the elections. If you are talking about the federation government with unitary bias, okay, federation in the general sense in Indian constitution, in Indian administration, is a federal government, but at the time of emergency it can be called unitary bias unitary government. Why? Because in the unitary government, the distributions of power which has been distributed in center, states and villages area, those are completely grasped by the central government, and the central government is one of the biggest administrators of our particular country concerning to Indian constitution, because Indian constitution also in focus and also gave the strength to emulate and to control these types of administrations of our country. Okay, that this is called federal government in the general sense, but whenever in the time of emergency it is called unitary government. Okay, like if I'm talking about the Indian constitution says article 352, 356 and 360, these are the emergency articles. On the basis of these articles, our central government and federal government can grasp all of the rules and regulations which has been distributed to the people, and the authority given to the states center and the villages, those are completely brought out. Okay, it means to say, but whenever we are talking about the Indian constitution, in Indian constitution federal word is not mentioned. It does not take place in Indian constitution. In spite of it, federal can be communicated in place of, we can say, union. Okay, in place of union, federal can be communicated by the people of our constitution. Okay, whenever we are talking about the fundamental rights, in Indian constitution fundamental rights are also given to the people, and there are 6 fundamental rights now, because if we are talking about the real constitutions of our country, whenever it was framed in 1950, in that period 7 fundamental rights were given to the people. Okay, but now right to property, okay, it is completely legal act has been made after constitution amendment 44 1978. Okay, so now we all are exercising 6 fundamental rights. Is it okay? So this is the interpretations and the prime and precious items which has been derived in Indian constitutions. Okay, and after DPSP, directive principles of state policies, okay, this is also a virtuous part, characteristics part of Indian constitution. Whenever we are talking about the in the next part, independent judiciary, in Indian constitution judiciary has been taking a place of the majority considering to the independent. Independent mean to say it can't be grasped by anybody, any government, either ruling or the administrative. Okay, it is completely freedom, it is completely independent. That's why it is said that caretaker of our government, caretaker of our constitutions. Whenever our constitution feels seems to be in the danger, fatal, and different types of challenges can be faced by our constitution, it can be exercise of the independent judiciary, and judiciary can provide the concrete jurisdictions to the constitutions. In that period, those and each and every people can get this exercising of the constitution law and verdict. Okay. Whenever we are talking about the universal adult franchise in Indian constitution, it has been also mentioned, and people are also enjoying about that, and secular character of the estates, because in our country, our estate has no any religious things. Okay, each and every people is free to exercise, to celebrate, to follow different types of rituals, different types of religious things, different types of religions. Okay, and those are bound to follow. They have no any interpretations and abided by our rules and regulations concerning to the constitutions of our Indian constitution, that you have to follow this. Okay, you are avoided, you are completely escaped from the any pressures and powers of our constitution, because it's a secular, it's a democratic. Okay, and the secular, each and every people are free to enjoy their choice, we can say. Okay, choice interpretations of the rituals, religion and religious affairs. Okay, whenever we are talking about the in Indian constitution, it also provides single citizenship. It is also a part of characterizations and salient features of Indian constitutions. Okay, and fundamental duties, this is very biggest part. Okay, because fundamental rights we are also exercising. In spite of it, we are along with fundamental rights, we are also enjoying fundamental duties. Okay, and at last, this is the last provisions, this is called emergency provisions in our constitution. Okay, whenever we are talking about the what was the history of constitution, from where it was framed. Okay, so my dear guys, first we have to know about the Indian constitution. Before Indian constitution, because Indian constitution is written, okay, Indian constitution is the longest constitution, but we must know about that it is the longest written constitution in the world. But the first written constitutions of America, it is accepted that in 1776 USA, it has after the independence of US in 1776, the constitution of USA was completely drafted by a special conventions of delegates. Okay, and this was completely presided by the George Washington, the president of that yeah, we can say border of that states. Okay, the George Washington, and this constitution emerged out of the Philadelphia Convention. Okay, Philadelphia Convention on I think September 1787, it was completely occurred in America. Okay, and after Philadelphia Convention on 17th September 1787, finally this concept and these types of recommendations have been finalized in America, that America must have a written constitution. Okay, on that panorama, on that we can say recommendations, after the long discussion and summit of the members of that we can say constituent assemblies of America, finally America portrayed and coined its constitution, but it is the smallest written constitution in the world. Okay, whenever we are talking about the, because sometimes or the other this question can be raised before us, that what is the main how many words are used in constitutions of America. Okay, so the US constitution has less than 5,000 words. Okay, but whenever we are talking about the Canadian constitution, the Canadian constitution of 1982 contains not more than 6,500 words. But here is the main interpretations of Indian constitution, because whenever we are discussing about the Indian constitution is the longest written constitution of the world. It means in Indian constitution it contains 1,17,369 words. Try to remember, in Indian constitution 1,17,369 words in Indian constitution contains. And if these words and the total number of words in Indian constitution on the basis of English versions, and the firstly I have to say that in Indian, whenever Indian constitution was completely drafted and we can publishing, before all it was completely made in English version. Okay, so on the basis of English version I am mentioning total words of Indian constitution 1,17,369 words. Okay, my dear guys, whenever we are talking about the longest written constitution, because one by one features I have to discuss. First, our interpretations of the characteristics of Indian constitution is that the longest written constitutions. Okay, my dear guys, generally whenever we are talking about the constitutions, what is the constitution? If we are discussing about the constitution is soul and a spirits of any nations, and all of the peoples, members, strugglers, independence fighters, each and every people, those are staying in a geographical boundary of that, within the geographical boundary of that particular nation, they can exercise their we can say rules, they can exercise their we can say interpretations, individuals. Okay, those are under the considerations of the rules and regulations. This is part of the constitution. The Indian constitution is unique in its contents, first we have to know, and spirits. Though whenever we are talking about the borrowing, the borrow from various constitutions of the world, because in the previous lecture I made in the after studying the constitution of 60 countries, Indian constitution was completely framed on and implemented in our country on 26 January 1950. Okay, and that's why Indian constitution is one of them. Whenever we are going through discussing. Okay, and distinguishing the interpretations of the parameter concerning the characterizations of the constitution. This is the very wonderful part and uploadable things which has been made by our freedom fighters and constituent assembly people. Okay, in the sense of longest written constitution. Okay, so generally constitution can be classified into different parts. Okay, like written constitution, unwritten constitution, rigid constitution, and flexible constitutions. Okay, so here is the matter of written constitution. First written constitution has been published and implemented by America after Philadelphia Convention, and Indian constitution is also written, but it is the longest written, and America is also the first written, but is the smallest written. This is the main point. Okay, unwritten, like I'm talking about the UK, United Kingdoms. Okay, England has, even today, has no written constitutions. It has unwritten constitutions. Okay, so written and unwritten, there is the text and contents of the papers and documents that has been submitted by the Constituent Assembly, and the time of need they can go through the papers and documents, and they can also abide by their papers and documents. It has been completely made in our country. Okay, so this is a part, and the first modern written constitution is the American Constitution. On the other hand, the British government has unwritten constitutions. Okay, whenever we are talking about the what is the constitutions, it consists of the customs and conventions which have grown over the years. Okay, in India we have a written constitution, because what is the, if you are talking about the what is the real constitution, whenever it was completely portraying in our country, the characterization, the whenever Indian constitution was completely made, the longest constitutions of the world, it also exercises and consists of different types of things. Like in that period, 395 articles were mentioned, 8 schedules were mentioned, and 12 parts were mentioned. Okay, so in that criteria, overall 22. So if you are talking about in the original sense of the Indian Constitution, there are 395 articles, 22 parts, and 8 schedules are mentioned in Indian Constitution. But even today, there is no reformation and transformation in Indian Constitution concerning to part, articles and schedules, but it has been adjoined. Further reaction has been added in the sections of different articles, schedules and parts. Like that, now the total number of articles are 465 and more. But whenever we are talking about the parts, it has been extended by 25, and whenever talking about the schedules, reduced by 12. Okay, sorry, extended by 12, because in that period there were 8 schedules and it is extended by 12. Okay, it is the exercising of current topics concerning to Indian Constitution. It has a main kind of format and features of Indian Constitution. Sometimes so that this can be also asked before you, that what is the reason that Indian Constitution is the longest? Several reasons, my dear guys, several reasons. Like whenever Indian Constitution was framed in our country, completely Jammu and Kashmir, and the king of Jammu and Kashmir did not participate in a Constituent Assembly, because the Indian Constitution did not have the power, did not have the interpretations to follow completely Jammu and Kashmir, because for Jammu and Kashmir a special status of the Constitution has been framed. Okay, so this is also a part, that for Jammu and Kashmir a special constitution has been framed, and for complete India different constitution is framed. Whenever we are talking about Government of India Act 1935, 75 and more than percentage of the Indian Constitution has been borrowed from Government of India Act 1935. and our country got independence. The independence schedules exercising the different articles, different, we can say, concepts, which were also derived from Government of India Act 1935. It's also played an important vital role in our constitution framing. Whenever we are talking about that, so we know very well that India is a country of great diversity. It means to say it is a country of several minorities. It has many languages. It has many races. It has many castes. It has many religions. And all people are following as per their choice. All are free and independent to follow their rituals, because Indian constitutions gave all of us the independent form of the following the regulation and following the conduct of the people. So this is also part. And the problems, we are talking about the problems and interests of these different groups have found place in the constitution. Okay, whenever we are talking about the like that in Indian constitution, many members of the constituent assembly were either advocate, doctor, farmers, educationist, philosopher. So what are their interpretations of thought when Indian constitution was framing? Their interpretations of the thought were different, and different ideology was completely consisted in our constitution whenever it was framing. That's why Indian constitution is the longest written constitution in the world, because our constitution honors each and every people. There is no any differentiation, there is no any distinction. The people, their caste, their races, their religions, their habits, their rituals, those were completely avoided, and those were escaped from these types of misconduct of Indian constitution. So this is the part of appraisal, this is a part of respectful, that each and every people must respect the constitutions of our country, and we must follow our mouth heads to the constitutions of our country. That's why one quotation is, I am going to tell that. Ivor Jennings quoted about Indian constitution that Indian constitution is the lawyer's paradise. My dear guys, try to remember. Ivor Jennings quoted about Indian constitution that Indian constitution is lawyer's paradise. Lawyer's paradise mean to say those who want to include something, demonstrate something as per the interpretations of thought concerning to the rituals. Because all knowledgeable people are honored under the leadership of the drafting committee of our country as per the Indian constitution. Okay. So this is the main scenario of Indian constitution. In this section I made you understand about the history and longest written constitution. In the next history I will teach you the next characterizations of Indian constitutions. Okay. The best of luck, my dear guys. Do continue. I'm with you all. Okay. God bless you.